So I just wanted to talk about people being two-faced. And I'm not saying like people can be two-faced in like real life. That's not like a big thing anymore. A lot of people just are two-faced on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Like even if they get like on other social media apps, YouTube, it doesn't really matter. Like what really matters is like you should be yourself, and you shouldn't pretend to be somebody else, and you shouldn't change yourself because like you hate yourself and you think that you should be this person, when in reality you don't need to be that person at all. You just need to be yourself and just express yourself the way you're supposed to. Live your life the way you're supposed to. Don't look up to anybody you don't want to look up to, and just do what you got to do. There's not a lot of people nowadays that go by their own gut. Like sometimes they like talk to people and ask people questions and like, do you think I should go through with this? And they tend to like, you know, say, yeah, I think you should go through with it. And not everybody is like that, but there is some people that are like that, that are they can't make decisions for themselves and they just like depend on other people. And that's not sad. It's just like you should do it yourself. Like if you think that that decision is bad or that decision is good, go with what you think is right. Don't depend on somebody else to make that decision for you. Like, should I skip school or should I go to school? That's up to you to make that decision. If you walk to school, you have a chance to skip it. But you can't ask somebody like, hey, you think I should skip school? Because what are they gonna say? They're gonna say no, and then you're gonna go to school. But if you make the decision yourself, you won't go to school. I think people just forget that they have a life of their own, that they should live it, and that they should never be two-faced. But there is people that live their lives two-faced. Like for example, like people at stores, like you know how like they're supposed to be happy go lucky, smile and stuff like that. Like I go in stores and look at him and I'm like, that poor bastard, like he's smiling so hard and he's not even happy. Like you can just tell. Like I can like read like the body language that he's not even happy. You know, like people live their daily lives just two-facing it. And that's I call that two-faced. I don't call that hiding your problems. I call that being two-faced. Because if you're sad, just be sad. And if you're like angry, be angry. But don't be angry towards somebody else. But it's okay to be angry at work, and it's okay to be angry somewhere else. Just don't take it out on anything. Like you can be angry all day, talk to people, work your job, and go back home and still be angry. But at least when you're home, you can take it out on something like maybe punch a hole in the wall, or get a punching bag, or call somebody and just be like, dude, I'm so sick and tired of this motherfucker. You know, like it really just depends on who you are and where you come from and how you were taught. And I was taught to always be respectful, and I was always taught don't be two-faced, and always, you know, smile if you want to smile. If you don't want to smile, don't smile. Don't force it. Because if you're forcing it, you're just making it harder on yourself. Because you can't be happy. There's no way you can be happy if you're sad or depressed or anything like that. Like you can't just force yourself to be happy. There's no possible way. No way. I act the same way on YouTube. I act the same way at home. I act the same way away from people. Sometimes I'm more quiet, sometimes I'm more happy, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm depressed. I live my life all through the emotions, but I don't always bottle my emotions. I always talk about my emotions. I don't ever hide stuff. Like if I'm feeling something, I'm feeling it, and I let them know. If they want to know, sometimes I just tell them. Sometimes they ask. It could be a family member. Blah. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. I had some tea in my mouth and almost spit it out. My apologies. But it really just depends on who you are and how you were raised. Like some people, they were raised to be racist, and there's people that were raised not to be racist, and there was people raised by gay parents and don't know what it's like to have a mom and a dad, just to have a dad and a dad, or a mom and a mom, and one's gotta act like a dude, one's gotta act like the mother, one's gotta discipline, and the other one's gotta just you know what I'm talking about. Shelter the child. And that's another thing that I honestly can really say is don't shelter your child. Like, never ever shelter your child. It's okay. Let them grow up. They need to grow up. They need to see the world how it is. Like if it takes them having to ride their bike up to the gas station and get a soda, or when they're 18 years old to get a cigarette and then get denied because they think that they're too young and they think it's somebody else's ID, they'll see the real world sucks. And all it takes is for you to let them, when they're young, just do stupid shit and just let them just get in trouble. And once you get to the point to where you gotta spank their ass or you gotta put them on restrictions, just do it. I've never been a parent to a teenager or a guardian to a teenager. I did watch a child, but the child was a toddler, so it was much easier. But once you start getting into the teen years, that's a totally different ball game. And I'm just saying from my experiences that you should let your kids just grow up. If you live in a nice neighborhood, let them go around the neighborhood if they want to. Don't deny them that type of freedom, because that might make them get out more, and they might meet a friend around the corner and they might want to go over there every day or so. I remember when I had friends down the street, and I used to go hang out with them down the street, and they hung out with me, and they'd come in my house, I'd go to their house, and sometimes we played a PlayStation 2, sometimes we stay out and ride bikes, sometimes we just sit around and talk. I mean, it really just depends on what your experiences are, and if you're willing to listen to me or if you're going to listen to your child. And definitely, always definitely listen to your child when your child is trying to tell you something, especially when it comes to I think you're not treating me the way that you're supposed to. For example, let's say you backhand your kid, and your kid comes up to you and says, I don't think you should backhand me, I think you should just restrict me instead. I think backhanding is a little disrespectful. Do you think that your kid is gonna just lie to you? Just how friends work. If you give them respect, they give you respect. You get what you give. And one day that backhanding shit is gonna turn into something else when they're 17 years old. You can't be backhanding a 17-year-old. That's just wrong. And almost an adult. You can't touch them like that. That's damn near bullshit. That's bullshit. Like, just ground them. Don't touch them. And when they finally become adults, like, don't kick them out of your house. Like, let them stay. Even if they're a burden, like, just let them stay. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's your kid. That is your kid. And if you kick your kid out onto the street, and your kid is out there just roaming the streets, homeless, not getting a shower, not having friends, everyone turn their back on them, like, that's your fault. That is your fault. Like, your kid is out there homeless, walking around the streets, getting his ass beat and getting robbed, and all this other shit because you decided to kick him out at 18 or 20 years old. Just because y'all have arguments and y'all have y'all's differences doesn't mean you should kick somebody out. Because I have my differences with my dad, and sometimes we fight, and they'll never kick me out on the street. But do I think that other parents would? Yes. And do I think that they should listen to me when I say this? Hell yeah. Because if you kick your kid out on the street and your kids is out in the street begging people for money, that's your fault. You could be feeding him. You could be keeping them under your roof, giving them shelter, a place to sleep, but instead, you're going to kick him out. Like, we got enough people that are panhandling on the streets. Like, we don't need your 18-year-old kid, adult, I should say, getting put out on the street and having a panhandle. And my God, man, my God, like, this videos went, like, every which way. We went from the north to the south, to the southwest. God dang. I don't know, man. Like, sometimes I just, like, think, like, people need to, like, listen to what I say. And, like, if you listen to another person, it might help you go a long way. I'm not going to say that I'm a smart person by any means, but from my experiences and things that I've heard, it's better just to go with your gut. And if my words actually makes it to where you can make a decision in life, like, let's say, like, your kid is schizophrenia, and you don't want to kick him out, but you don't know what to do, don't call the cops and have him taken to an insane asylum. That's the worst idea you possibly can have. Take him straight to the hospital. They'll do exactly what they did to me. They'll give you schizophrenia medicine right there on the spot, after they make you wait for a little while. But I mean, if you gotta wait 2 hours to get it, you gotta wait 2 hours to get it. I mean, even if you gotta drop your kid off and leave your kid there by himself, it's best to always just stay there. But, you know, if you can help your kid out in any way possible, help your kid. Try to understand their problems. Even if they're 12 years old, like I said, that backhand and shit, like if your kid's getting backhanded and they don't like it, and they feel like that you're mistreating them, that's on you. And the bad thing is, what your kid says to other people is how people judge you too. Because when kids are young, they don't fucking lie. They do not lie. They tell the fucking truth. I remember when I was little, I told the truth all the time. And I still do tell the truth. But sometimes I'll stretch the truth a little bit. Just make it a little more spicy for you. Not like I'm doing right now. Like, this is just me just rambling on about shit because I'm bored as fuck. And honestly, I think that, like, I'm making a point here, but I feel like only, like, 15 people are gonna watch this. So when I mean by 15 people, I mean like all my subscribers plus one extra viewer is gonna watch this. And if y'all made it this far in the fucking video, I'm proud of y'all. Because I'm just rambling. But you know what? I made some points here. And I hope people have learned through this video that there's a such thing as not being two-faced. There's such thing as being two-faced. Why you shouldn't be two-faced. And why you shouldn't do certain things with your kid and listen to your kid. Alright, I'm out of here.